Hello and welcome to Health Mastery. Our today and a very important topic is, which are the 10 foods you shouldn't keep in the fridge? Stay until the end of the video for the important takeaway tips. Have fun by watching and don't forget to share it with friends, families and on the social media. Certain foods are best stored outside of the fridge to maintain their flavor, texture, and overall quality. Here are 10 foods you should avoid keeping in the fridge. Our first food are tomatoes. Cold temperatures can negatively affect the texture and flavor of tomatoes. When tomatoes are exposed to cold temperatures, their cell structure can break down, leading to a mealy or mushy texture. Additionally, refrigeration can cause the tomatoes to lose their natural sweetness and flavor, resulting in a less enjoyable eating experience. Tomatoes continue to ripen after they are harvested, and refrigeration can slow down this process significantly. If you have unripe tomatoes, placing them in the fridge will impede their ability to ripen fully, and you may end up with bland and underripe tomatoes. Instead, it's better to leave them at room temperature to allow them to ripen naturally and develop their full flavor. Tomatoes are sensitive to ethylene gas, a natural ripening hormone produced by certain fruits like bananas and apples. When exposed to ethylene in the fridge, tomatoes can ripen unevenly and develop off flavors. If you do need to store tomatoes for a longer period, it's best to keep them away from the fridge and store them at room temperature in a cool, dry place. If you have already cut a tomato and have some leftovers, you can refrigerate them for a short time, 1-2 days, in an airtight container, but it's still better to use them fresh whenever possible. In summary, keeping tomatoes at room temperature allows them to retain their flavor, texture, and nutritional value while allowing them to ripen naturally. Only refrigerate tomatoes as a short-term storage solution and if necessary. Otherwise, store them in a cool, dry place to ensure the best taste and quality. Our second food are potatoes. When potatoes are exposed to cold temperatures, the starch content in the potatoes begins to convert into sugar more quickly. This can lead to an undesirable sweet taste and alter the texture of the potatoes when cooked. Potatoes stored at room temperature or in a cool, dark place maintain their starch content and retain their intended taste and texture. Refrigeration can cause the cell walls of potatoes to break down, resulting in a mealy or grainy texture when cooked. The potatoes may also become discolored and lose some of their natural flavors. Similar to tomatoes, potatoes are sensitive to ethylene gas. If stored in the fridge with ethylene-producing fruits or vegetables, the exposure can cause the potatoes to sprout or spoil more quickly. Refrigeration can introduce excess moisture to potatoes, promoting rot and mold growth. Potatoes should be kept in a dry environment to prevent spoilage. Instead of the fridge, it's best to store potatoes in a cool, dark, and well-ventilated place, such as a pantry or cellar. The ideal temperature for storing potatoes is around 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. Proper storage conditions will help keep potatoes fresh for a more extended period and preserve their taste and texture for optimal culinary use. Our third food are onions. Cold temperatures in the refrigerator can negatively affect the texture and flavor of onions. When onions are exposed to the cold, their internal structure can break down, leading to a mushy or soft texture. Additionally, refrigeration can cause the onions to lose some of their characteristic flavors, making them less enjoyable to use in cooking. Onions have a strong odor that can easily permeate other foods in the fridge. Storing onions in the same space as other items can lead to those items taking on the onion smell, which might affect their taste and quality. The higher humidity levels in the fridge can lead to moisture accumulation on the onion surface, potentially promoting mold growth and causing them to spoil more quickly. Onions are sensitive to temperature changes, and when stored in the cold, they might start sprouting prematurely, affecting their overall quality and taste. Instead of the fridge, it's best to store onions in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated place. A pantry, cellar, or a mesh bag in a cool corner of the kitchen are suitable options for onion storage. Keep them away from direct sunlight, and avoid storing onions near potatoes, as the gases they produce can speed up spoilage in each other. Proper storage will help preserve the onion's flavor, texture, and freshness for a more extended period. If an onion has been cut, it's advisable to use it promptly or store it in an airtight container in the fridge for a short time, 1–2 days, to minimize any potential issues. Our fourth food is garlic. When garlic is exposed to cold temperatures in the refrigerator, it can stimulate premature sprouting. Sprouted garlic can have a bitter taste and may not store well. Garlic bulbs are susceptible to mold and decay in a humid environment. The higher humidity levels in the fridge can create a damp environment, which promotes the growth of mold and can cause the garlic cloves to spoil more quickly. Refrigeration can negatively impact the flavor and aroma of garlic. Cold temperatures can cause the natural oils and sulfur compounds in garlic to break down, resulting in a milder taste and diminished aromatic qualities. If you have a whole bulb of garlic that has not been separated into individual cloves, the fridge is not the best place for it. Commercially grown garlic is often treated with a sprout inhibitor to extend its shelf life. Refrigeration can neutralize the effectiveness of this inhibitor, leading to premature sprouting. Proper storage will help preserve the flavor, aroma, and overall quality of garlic for an extended period. If you notice any green sprouts starting to emerge from garlic cloves, it's best to remove them before using the garlic in your culinary preparations. Our fifth food are avocados. Avocados can be stored in the fridge, but there are certain considerations to keep in mind. Here's why some people prefer not to store avocados in the fridge. Avocados are typically sold unripe and need time to ripen at room temperature. Placing unripe avocados in the fridge can slow down the ripening process significantly. If you want your avocados to ripen and become soft and creamy, it's best to keep them at room temperature until they are ripe. Cold temperatures can alter the texture of avocados. When avocados are refrigerated, the flesh can become firm and may not have the same smooth, creamy consistency that many people enjoy. However, if you have ripe avocados that you want to keep for a few more days, or if you've cut an avocado and only used a portion of it, placing it in the fridge can help extend its shelf life. Keep unripe avocados at room temperature until they are fully ripe. If you have ripe avocados that you don't plan to eat immediately, you can store them in the fridge to slow down the ripening process. Place them in the crisper drawer or in a sealed container to prevent them from absorbing other odors in the fridge. If you've cut an avocado and want to store the unused portion, brush it with a bit of lemon or lime juice to prevent browning, then store it in an airtight container in the fridge. Refrigerating ripe avocados can help extend their shelf life, but it may alter the texture somewhat. Enjoying avocados at their peak ripeness and flavor is the best way to savor this delicious fruit. Our sixth food are bananas. Bananas are climacteric fruits, which means they continue to ripen after they are harvested. Refrigeration can significantly slow down the ripening process, and the peel may turn brown or black while the fruit inside remains underripe. This can result in a less appealing texture and taste when you possibly eat the banana. Cold temperatures can negatively affect the texture and flavor of bananas. The cold air in the fridge can cause the banana peel to develop dark spots, which can make the fruit mushy and affect its taste. As mentioned earlier, storing bananas in the fridge can cause the peel to turn brown or black, even though the fruit inside may not be fully ripe. This can be unappetizing and may lead to a perception that the fruit is spoiled, even if it's still good to eat. It's generally better to keep them at room temperature to enjoy them at their best. If you have ripe bananas that you can't eat right away, consider freezing them instead of refrigerating them to preserve their flavor and texture more effectively. Our seventh food is bread. Refrigeration accelerates the process of starch retrogradation in bread. This means that the starch molecules in the bread recrystallize more quickly in cold temperatures, leading to a stale texture. As a result, refrigerated bread can become dry, hard, and less enjoyable to eat. The cool, dry environment of the fridge can cause the bread to lose moisture rapidly. This can result in the bread becoming stale and, in some cases, even freezer burn if stored for an extended period. Bread is porous and can absorb odors from other foods in the fridge, leading to a change in its taste and aroma. If there are strong smelling items in the fridge, like onions or cheeses, the bread may pick up those odors, affecting its overall quality. To keep the bread fresher for a more extended period, you can store it in a sealed plastic bag or airtight container. If you have a whole loaf of bread and don't plan to use it all within a few days, you can also freeze it to preserve its freshness. Frozen bread can be quickly thawed and refreshed in the oven or toaster when needed. Our 8th food is honey. Honey has a natural tendency to crystallize over time, especially at colder temperatures. When honey is refrigerated, this process can be accelerated, leading to the formation of sugar crystals. While crystallized honey is still safe to eat, the texture becomes grainy, and some people may find it less enjoyable. Refrigerated honey tends to become thicker and more difficult to pour due to the crystallization process. This can be inconvenient when you want to use honey as a sweetener or drizzle it over food. Refrigerated honey tends to become thicker and more difficult to pour due to the crystallization process. This can be inconvenient when you want to use honey as a sweetener or drizzle it over food. Honey has a long shelf life when stored properly at room temperature in a sealed container. There is no need to refrigerate honey to prevent spoilage. It can stay fresh and edible for an indefinite period if stored correctly. A pantry or cupboard is an ideal location for honey storage. Keeping it away from direct sunlight will help preserve its quality. If your honey has crystallized, you can easily return it to its liquid state by placing the jar in a bowl of warm water and gently stirring until the crystals dissolve. Our 9th food are melons. Melons can be stored in the fridge, and it is often recommended to do so under certain circumstances. However, there are a few considerations to keep in mind. Refrigeration can cause some types of melons, like watermelons and honeydews, to lose their flavor and become less sweet. Cold temperatures can inhibit the natural ripening process, leading to a less enjoyable eating experience. Cold temperatures can alter the texture of melons, making them softer or mushy. His change in texture may not be appealing to everyone. Melons can take up a significant amount of space in the fridge, which can be problematic if you have a small refrigerator or need to store other items. Additionally, melons can absorb odors from other foods in the fridge, potentially affecting their taste. If you have a ripe melon that you want to keep fresh for a bit longer, you can refrigerate it. This can help extend its shelf life and prevent it from becoming overripe too quickly. On hot summer days, refrigerating sliced or chopped melons can provide a refreshing and chilled snack. If you prefer your melons to be very cold when eating them, refrigeration can be beneficial. Our 10th and last food are coffee beans. Coffee beans are hygroscopic, which means they readily absorb moisture from the surrounding environment. When coffee beans are exposed to the cool and humid conditions of the fridge, they can absorb moisture and develop off flavors. Additionally, when you take the coffee beans out of the fridge and open the container, condensation can form on the beans due to the temperature difference, further promoting moisture absorption. Coffee beans are highly sensitive to odors, and the fridge can contain a variety of strong-smelling foods. Storing coffee beans in the fridge can cause them to absorb those odors, affecting the taste and aroma of your brewed coffee. Coffee beans contain natural oils that contribute to their rich flavor and aroma. Refrigeration can cause these oils to solidify, leading to a loss of flavor and the development of staleness in the beans. Frequent exposure to temperature changes, such as taking the coffee beans in and out of the fridge, can cause condensation inside the coffee bean container. These fluctuations can also negatively impact the overall quality of the beans. Instead of the fridge, the best way to store coffee beans is in a cool, dry, and dark place, such as a pantry or a cupboard. Ideally, use an airtight container that keeps the beans protected from air, light, and moisture. This method helps preserve the freshness and flavor of the coffee beans for a more extended period. To keep your coffee beans fresh and flavorful, avoid storing them in the fridge and opt for a cool, dry, and dark storage location with proper airtight containers. I hope I could help you a little with these very helpful tips, and I'm looking forward to a new, exciting video. See you soon and stay healthy, your Health Mastery team.